Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber and Magic Online grinder Build or Burn, and this is Flow State Reanimator. Flow State is, of course, the new hotness in Legacy. Everyone's trying to put it in any shell they can get it into. And Reanimator is a deck that, of course, got many cards banned over the period of several years because it just couldn't be contained by the small bans here and there. Ultimately, Entomb got banned, killing the core engine of the deck. However, I still thought it was good enough to register at 2 of my 3 Eternal weekends I played last year. We're still in the same ban window. Nothing's been banned since Eternal Weekend. And now Flow State exists, which opens up some cool places for building this deck. If you want to see the whole adventure, back in November, December, January, I played this deck 4 or 5 times on the channel as I iterated on it for Eternal Weekend. The big innovation before Eternal Weekend was realizing that Careful Study was not a playable Magic card, because this deck had to play fair sometimes, and you can't be going card negative if your combo doesn't come together. However, Careful Study is a sorcery, and it can put an instant and a monster in your graveyard all on turn 1. That turns on your Reanimates, your Animate Deads, and your Flow States on turn 1 for 1 mana. Hard to ignore that. And with Flow States in the deck, you can recoup these cards in more ways than just reanimating an Atraxa. There is a backdoor to actually grind back in and make decisions and have agency in a game after going down this many cards on turn 1, if it doesn't come together. The speed of Careful Study also means Daze can be in the deck. I did not play that card at Eternal Weekend. I was much more mid-range in my Reanimator plan. And as we've learned over many years, the faster and more resilient Reanimator is, the worse it is for everyone else. Flow State is the resiliency that lets us try to go faster, and maybe this deck is busted again. Let's check it out. This is Flow State Reanimator. July 24th through 26th, Excalibur Events will be running one of their 3-day weekends in Columbus, Ohio. This event will feature a CEDH 25K, Riftbound tournaments, sorcery tournaments, and Magic side events, including on Sunday, a pre-modern 5K, which I will be attending and participating in. If you want to come compete, sign up in the link in the video description and use code KOVL for $5 off entry. I'll see you there. Well, folks, I am on the draw in round 1 versus none other than Build or Burn, the very designer and submitter of this deck. He does not know I'm playing this. I didn't message him beforehand to tell him I'm starting his league, though I do expect this to be a mirror match, which is pretty awkward. What I'd like to do is Thoughtseize myself here. I might have to Thoughtseize my opponent, though, see what's going on over there. The Reanimator mirror is kind of a mess because you can't really just put a creature in your graveyard. Oh, good news, everyone. This is the Reanimator mirror, but opponent's on some weird shit. I can't take this Emeritus. I guess I just have to take Reanimate. Okay. Oh, if I had waited a turn. The problem is my opponent's on the play. If I had waited a turn, I could have Thoughtseized his Emeritus and then reanimated it, and he doesn't have Force Blue card and then doesn't have a follow-up. World Gorger Dragon got the free Entomb off of a Surveil. Thoughtseizing me now. I'm going to lose my Reanimate, likely here. And my hand's just going to stink for a while. Okay. I don't think Wastelanding makes any sense. I'll play Sewer and try to do something. Alright, well, I'll Entomb an Archon. If my opponent draws a Reanimate, basically it's whoever draws a Reanimate first wins here, because we both have Force backup. And now because there's a second creature in the graveyard, a Animate Dead is good enough too. Opponent could Gorger to make infinite mana and then switch the Animate Dead onto Archon to break the loop and then start casting spells in his hand. Underground Sea. Other Thoughtseize. Probably going to lose my Force here. Now that breaks the parity a bit. Tameo. Alright, I think I have to start fighting over resources a little bit here, because I have to try to keep Daze online. Though I am in a lot of trouble here if that Brainstorm found anything. Dark Ritual, that's scary. Low State. Yeah. The opponent's breaking out of it before me. 3 cards in hand over there. Ponder leaving black floating. Please shuffle and miss. This is a big turn to do nothing. And if he misses here, he's tapped out into my daze, which means I can beat this Force of Will. Huge turn to fade this Ponder and then also rip something hot. Didn't shuffle Ponder. Bad news, everyone. Animate dead. All right. I mean, we know my opponent can force me back here. Assuming he didn't brainstorm them away. Okay. Went for Archon of Cruelty, though, which is interesting. Didn't go for the Infinite World Gorger. All right, so I discard my Archon here. I can still rip Reanimate or Animate Dead and still be playing this game. That's why I picked up the Underground Sea and not the other one. Big money! All right. I take 8 here and discard a card. I guess I'm still playing this game. Dump that. Thoughtseize you. That means I take 10. I have to draw exactly Animate Dead. All right, strip your Ponder, and... All right, I can still draw Animate Dead and play this game. Reanimator Mirror, a complete nightmare. Actually, I would say that game was pretty interesting. We both made a bunch of decisions. Mostly my opponent found a cantrip before I did. We both kept Reanimate, Force of Will, Thoughtseize hands. Animate Dead. All right, GG. We both kept Reanimate, Force of Will, Thoughtseize hands. My opponent had a second Thoughtseize and then a Brainstorm, though, before I could really get anything going. All right, Dauthi Voidwalker's coming in. That I'm sure of. Show and Tell is pretty interesting because then I don't have to play through the graveyard and I don't turn off my opponent's Reanimators on my stuff. However, this could just be a crapshoot. But if my opponent puts in World Gorger Dragon, I don't really care. I could just treat this like a whole ass combo deck and bring in my Force and Negations. I don't normally like doing that versus Reanimator, but being also Reanimator here, I don't have like Barrowgoyfs. There's not a big pivot here. Build or Burn, I worked with him on Reanimator before Eternal Weekend last year, and he strongly favors Show and Tells out of the sideboard more than me, who likes things like Barrowgoyf and Orcish Bowmaster and get onto a totally fair plan. He still wants to be unfair, he just wants to do it differently. There are only 18 lands in this deck, so I can't really shave a Wasteland even though I'd like to. Right, where do I get 4 cuts out of this deck? Holy moly. On the play, Daze is still pretty nice. Maybe I just don't bring in Voidwalkers. As my opponent can grab out of my graveyard too. I'm not really shutting down everything. On the draw, do I just no sideboard and then make a play draw? On the draw, I can play a little more reactive. That doesn't feel right. Can I shave a monster? All right. I am not convinced I did this correctly, but we are pretty preloaded for combo matchups here. Like normally I would be cutting my Fatal Pushes to make room for anti-combo stuff, but those are already in the sideboard. No lands at all. Though this is the type of hand, in a different matchup, I would consider this hand because my next draw, even if it's not a land, I can discard Archon of Cruelty to hand size, and then at any point that I draw a swamp, I can reanimate with 2 forces backing it up. This hand is actually very close to keepable, just in a vacuum, but not in context. I'll mulligan here. Come on now. All right, well, this may be less interesting than I hoped for. I will keep this. All right, we're doing something. Can I afford to just rip off this Careful Study, put Attracts in the bin, hope my opponent doesn't have Reanimate of their own? I don't think I'm doing all that. I'm going to put Sewers and Dauthi to the bottom. And this way I can go Tamiyo. Careful Study flips Tamiyo and gives me 3 extra looks with Draw Step plus Careful Study to hit the black source to reanimate. All right, forcing on the Tamiyo on the Multi 5. That was a pretty good sell. If he's got more interaction, I'm in trouble. Basic Swamp. Nothing good is going to come out of that. Dark Ritual. Barrowgoyf. Oh, okay. This game might be winnable. Swamp in my top 3 cards. Let's go. Not that Swamp. Not that Swamp specifically. Different Swamp. Different Swamp. No! Life is pain. All right, I'll discard Atraxa and Flow State. And because this land enters tapped, we're in sad places. How many reanimates am I going to want in this game? This plays around Thoughtseize, I guess. Plays into Wasteland. All right. I'll roll the dice here. If my opponent has their own reanimate, this land entering untapped was my chance to shoot a shot. Okay, Barrowgoyf coming in. Milled a second Barrowgoyf for action. Shit. All right, GG. The full disrespect. Though, that was pretty close on a mull to 5. I think, actually, I mean, mulling to 5 stinks there. Like, if I just have a daze, I win that game. But I think that does show the strength of the deck, that the mull to 5 still played something powerful that it was worth Force of Will. My opponent had Force your turn 1 play, turn 1 Barrowgoyf, and I was still like, yeah, I can win this game. And it came down to an untapped land was the difference. Cool stuff. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the play in round number 2. I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to lead on Tamiyo. As one of the important things about present-day post-Entomb ban constructions of Reanimator is that whether you're playing Careful Study, Tainted Indulgence, Roiling Dragon... Are you kidding me? Roiling Dragonstorm, you know, whatever. Flipping Tamiyo for your thing is pretty dope. And also, literally, what the fuck? We got the donor of the deck on the pseudo mirror match, and then straight into Leyline Stompy. Yeah, Thoughtseize me and then laugh at me. You did it. Congratulations. Let's see if you could beat a Tamiyo. This is a deck we've been talking about on the Eternal Glory podcast about, like, if you're playing on the fringe anyway, why not look at something like this that's really good into some of the more annoying decks in the format right now. I mean, Oops All Spells remains near the top of the format. Flow State, now decks that didn't even care about their graveyard actually do. Okay, I like Force of Will. I don't like the second Careful Study. And this is actually close because Animate Dead is air quotes off. However, if I force a Barrowgoyf and then Animate Dead it, we're back in business. I'm actually going to keep the Animate Dead because my opponent still has a graveyard. And we'll see if I can ride this Tamiyo to victory. A Wasteland. Okay. They can't sit on that thing forever. Wasting my tap land. Very strange, but okay. Right, plus Tamiyo. And I suppose I want to cast this Ponder. I'll take my replacement land. There's a Brainstorm and a Reanimate under it. Don't really want those cards. Do I have a Borrower in the main? No, it's in the board. Yeah, I can't actually clear the Leyline in game 1. Yeah, that's the strength of Tamiyo, folks. My opponent had turn 0 Leyline of the Void game 1 against my Reanimator deck that can't remove it, and then they conceded on turn 3 of that game. Hook it to my veins. Show and Tell, probably awesome here. I like Brazen Borrower. I probably want to hack out a lot of these Reanimates. Do I go 0 Reanimate, or do I leave a couple in just in case? Probably want a couple in still. I didn't see a lot of what they were working with. Are they like a Karn build, or are they a Barrowgoyf Dothy Voidwalker build? Dothy Voidwalker's probably in, because it's just another Leyline effect, whether you're a Karn build or not. Yeah, I guess I want Fatal Pushes. I think I'm going to go down to 1 Reanimate. That gets me a Fatal Push. Days on the draw versus a likely Ancient Tomb strategy doesn't seem strongest. That'll give me 2 more Fatal Pushes. And there are builds of this deck where Force Negation and Consign to Memory are cards I want, but I don't know that we're in one, so I'm just going to try to send it. Hand's great. Going to keep. I hope they mulligan for a Leyline. They went to 6. They have a Leyline, so they're playing with 5 cards here. Wasteland. Chrome Mox. Okay, here we go. Going to be 2 cards left in his hand. Pitching a Dothy Voidwalker. All right, this is the world's most obvious Orcish Bowmaster right now. Do I have 1 of each basic? I do. That's so smart. Okay, get my basic island online. Well, my plan this game is basic island, basic swamp, show and tell. And if my opponent Thoughtseizes me, I'll brainstorm away the show and tell and the Archon. All right, opponent had no play and passed the turn. I do lose straight up if I cast Show and Tell and my opponent has Helm of Obedience in their hand. Okay. I will Brainstorm in response to this, which does cost me a couple turns of going off, but that's all it costs me. Oh, it's going to cost me 1 turn of going off. That's fine. I'm going to put back Ponder and Show and Tell, and then my opponent can decide if they want to play against Archon or Atraxa, or they could take like Bitter Triumph and give me the choice. If they Wasteland this Verdant Catacombs, that would actually be super heads up. I would just have to let it die. Okay, their head is not up. Fetch. Hope Helm is not in the hand. Jam it. I think I want Atraxa. They put in nothing? Wow. What is their hand? Just like Dark Rituals and stuff? Okay, cool. Well, there we go. The full 2-0 disrespect of Leyline of the Void Stompy, who had Leyline turn 0 both games. And that is the versatility of this deck. With the Tamios in the main, that's a whole plan by itself. And then however you choose to sideboard, whether it's Show and Tells, Barrowglyphs, some spectrum of both. Good stuff so far. I have not played a single game where I did anything that I wanted to do, yet the deck feels good. On to the next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. On the play in round number 3, my hand is very good. I'm going to keep it. Little soft to Wasteland, but most other things I'm going to smush. And I'm going to lead on my girl Tamio. Caracas, you got me. Uh-oh. Better main phase that. Okay. You want to play chicken? I can do this. There's Brainstorm in my hand. Yeah, that was just a timing issue. Opponent could have locked this down. Oh, Force of Will pitching to Fairy. I guess all days, since I don't have a land drop anyway. Force pitching to Fairy with a Caracas. This must be some Felia pile. And suddenly my hand is nutso. I still have a draw step coming, so I'll put the 2 Underground Seas back. Tamio flips. Draw. Plus Tamio. Thoughtseize you. Force back up. My goodness. My goodness, team. Swords to Plowshares, Force of Will is your hand. Which of these do I care less about? Force is so bad here. Plow. Any of the creatures I would put into play are N for 1s versus Swords to Plowshares. Like, Archon is a several for 1. Traxa is a 4 or 5 for 1. No. No. Good draw, though. Plus Tamio. And I'm actually going to fetch Surveil right now. See if I can high roll. Delta to my graveyard. I don't want your Tamio off my Reanimate. It would just end up back in your hand. All right, please don't draw Felia right now. Thoughtseize. Okay, well, I can find out if they drew Felia or not right now. And then I can make decisions based on that. All right, hand is just 2 lands still. Check. Go. Brainstorm. All right, something lively might happen here. We're trying to fade Prismatic Ending. Can't play Narset with this mana. That's a lot of white. Erode! I've been eroded. All right. New card, new life. Hot rips. All right, we are back to 0 here, actually. Careful study. Yeah, this is just a high roll to hit one of my monsters. I could wait a turn. Yeah, my opponent's doing so little, actually. I'm going to pass and just hope Brainstorm didn't also find Felia. Ponder. Ponder shuffled. There's the basic mountain. We don't know that plateau is still there, I don't think. Oh, look at me. Look at me rewarded for my patience. Still have to figure out how I'm going to win this game, but good start. The Caracas can bounce the Atraxa. Do I want to hold on to the Reanimate or the Thoughtseize? I think the Reanimate, that's just a reload. And I'm going to use Animate Dead here because I don't know what my life total is going to need to look like afterwards. A Caracas on board. We've got another Animate. another Atraxa, a Force of Will, a Flow State, and a land. I think I like this spread of cards. Flow State is on. It would be embarrassing if it wasn't this late in the game. I'm trying to find an Archon so I can win through this Caracas or one of my Wastelands to clear the Caracas and then play another Atraxa. I'm going to fetch a non-basic land here because we've seen a road. Okay, I'll take Wasteland and Flow State. One of the rules of Magic the Gathering is that Flow State always finds Flow State. That's just how it be. I have 6 cards in my hand, so if they Caracas now, I don't go to discard. Monastery Mentor. I probably have to respect this card. Oh, that's also a way I can beat. All right, yeah, this is fine. I could reanimate that and then Flow State and go nuts with a bunch of monks. Caracas won't beat that thing. Reanimate your Mentor. Flow State. Archon and Animate Dead. I'll take those. I could Animate Dead at Tameo. I should waste this Caracas first. Animate Dead, Tameo. Probably should have reanimated that. What am I doing here? 1 life. There's no better place to put 1 life. That was sloppy, but okay. Kind of going nuts. Hopefully that's not a huge punish. Cool. All right. Yeah, that was just a little too much. That early turn, not bouncing Tameo in the main phase, trying to play chicken with my upkeep. Yeah, like you have to make a decision there whether you're going to let Tameo come at you for a while and play around the brainstorm forever, or just bounce it, because if I have brainstorm in my hand, it doesn't matter. That one was definitely a small fumble. Okay. How do I want to handle this? Opponent is a Tameo and Monastery Mentor deck. I didn't see Felia, and it's weird that Mentor is there if you're a Felia deck. How do you have room for all those things? Erode is in there, so I can't go coast to coast with Tameo necessarily. I think Daze is going to stink a little bit here. I could make a pivot into show and tell stuff to respect the graveyard hate. That would be like an Animate Dead, a Reanimate. Get my piles lined up here correctly. I could have Voidwalkers and Brazen Borrower in and try to be much more creature-centric, or as creature-centric as I can be, but like I said, that's what show and tell is doing in this deck. So if I'm shaving Reanimates, a Careful Study can go too. How many Fatal Pushes do I want in the deck? I could find one more cut here, or I could just bring in 2 pushes or 3 show and tells. Thoughtseize is huge. 4 seems like a responsible number of Reanimates to keep that plan on the table. I could cut a Wasteland, but specifically seeing Caracas and being on 18 lands already, the Wasteland is a land in this deck, it's not a spell, which is an important difference. All right, I'll go 3 show and tells. No lands at all. No Reanimate. With Reanimate, I might actually keep this hand and go to the discard, but tech, please. All right, here we go. A hand. I'm going to keep, and I think I'm going to go Animate Dead, and it might be one of the lands to the bottom, though I don't have Force backup anyway. All right, here we go. Thoughtseize is my protection here. Gonna have to be. Ponder. Ponder did not shuffle. Ended up with a land. Do I want to pass here, or do I want to? I'm going to Tameo here, actually. I like developing the Tameo first, because Thoughtseize could punch a hole to go nuts with in the future, but like if they spend this turn developing Graveyard Hate or developing their own plan, or just flipping their own Tameo, that one I'm not a fan of. I have Bitter Triumph in my deck, or going off. Those are my outs to a Tameo. My own Brainstorm would be nice. A Ponder. Thoughtseize is pretty bad against the card Tameo, because they can just pick up the card you Thoughtseize. A Show and Tell. Interesting. All right. I will not shuffle that. And I am going to fire off Thoughtseize from Basic Swamp here. Flow State, Lure, and Revealed Ponder. Well, I'll take one of the flow states, I guess. I'm worried about back to basics. That's why I fetched Basic Swamp there. Cycling Lorian. Plus Tameo. Volcanic Islands in play. Flow State, good for 2 cards. Undercity Sewers. I'm going to draw for a clue, see what it is, and then decide what land I'm playing this turn. Force of Will. Okay. Undercity Sewer. Monster on top. A Flooded Strand to the graveyard. If I find Archon of Cruelty here, I could still make a game out of this. Tamio's at the magic number. Wander. Teferi. Does that stop any of my outs? No. Yeah, I'd have to pitch the Show and Tell to counter that. Okay. Archon of Cruelty off the top. Opponent doesn't have a counterspell. Those are my outs here. Okay. Now I got a little more action. I can flip Tamio here while seeing a few more cards. If the cards are monster, then I have Show and Tell. If it's monster plus reanimate, I have a full different send. None of the above, not even close. All right. Yeah, opponent, very aggressive. Tamio Brainstorm, but it turned out to perfectly thread the needle versus my hand. If I had Thoughtseized them, or if I had done nothing and held up Fatal Push, either one of those fights through that hand pretty well. All right, I just saw a bunch of cantrips in Tamio that game. I think I still want to be comboing. That Teferi's kind of a beating. Do I get Daze back in here on the play? And those Fatal Pushes is dying with two of them in my hand felt pretty bad. I'm going to focus on being a combo deck here. Other Fatal Push out. Fuck a Tamio. We're reanimating. Can I get the fourth Show and Tell in here? And the fourth Careful Study back? What have I actually done here? What have I boarded in? I've boarded in 3 Show and Tells and made my Reanimate package a little weaker. I don't have any sort of side juke. I think that's fine. Let's go. All right, I've got a whole plan here. Thoughtseize you, and then work my way towards Show and Tell. I am ripping off this Thoughtseize right now. No cheese. Flow State, Brainstorm, Ponder. Man, that's annoying. So if I take Flow State, they have Brainstorm and Ponder. I guess I could Daze the Flow State. Like if I take Brainstorm, they cast Ponder, and then Flow State is on turn 2. If I take Ponder, same thing with Brainstorm. Brainstorm is not a card you really want to cast on turn 1, though. But Brainstorm changes their hand the most out of these cards. Yeah, I guess I have to take Brainstorm, and I'm just emotionally prepared to Daze this Flow State. Flooded Strand. Ponder. All right, now I have a real decision to make. I could fetch, surveil, hold priority, Brainstorm. I guess that's just kind of free to do, right? I have Daze. If they tap out for Flow State, I'm okay with that. All right. Yeah, I'm going to pass. Yeah, I'm not going to Daze the Flow State. I'm going to Daze, or I could hardcast Daze on Flow State. Ponder did shuffle. Yeah, if they Flow State here, I might just... All right, well, that's not Flow State. That's actually fine. Okay, here's the play. End step, fetch, surveil. In response to the surveil trigger, Brainstorm. They have to treat this like Entomb. If I draw a reanimate spell, I can dump over this Archon. Or I could hit a second monster and just have 2 bullets. Okay, Swamp Atraxa on top, mill the Atraxa, and then rip off Show and Tell. There's only 1 unknown in their hand. Oh, is it fucking Red Blast? Oh, I can beat a Red Blast, that's fine. All right, cool. We did it, team. Pick up the Undercity Sewer, because that'll get me value over time. Put in Archon. This kills Tamio. They'll discard one of these lands. They Flow State to rebuild. I drew Reanimate. All right, cool. We're starting to overwhelm. Flow State is an incredible card to start to push back, but their draw step plus Flow State has to come up with answer to Archon and then also answer to the Reanimate in my hand. Basic Mountain deployed. That card sucks. All right, Flow State tapped out. I doubt this deck has Solitude in it. We're going to get a big turn here. Okay, attack first. Soften up their hand. Don't let them know I have Reanimate also. There goes that Flooded Strand. And I think I want to Brainstorm. Like, I can Brainstorm, then Ponder, and then still cast Reanimate at the end of all that. And if I find a Force, a Daze, or a Thoughtseize, that's all good news. Put back Sewer and C. Fetch. I'll get Basic Island just in case there is some nonsense with a back to basics in my future. Flow State, I think, is a good enough rebuild that I'll just keep this around. No shuffle, reanimate the Atraxa. Do you have Force Blue card? Do you have Surgical Extraction? Force Blue card puts them back down to 1 card in hand. Oh, Force, Unforce. Their life total changed. Okay, Force of Negation. That is the slightly better one to do. Okay, if they can clear this Archon from play, I have to put it back into play somehow, but like Swords to Plowshare is actually quite good. If Teferi had bounced it, that would have been less good. Flow State, even if they have Red Blast here, which is probably the best thing they could have. Yeah, Flusterstorm, sure, same thing. We're still gaming. I have more cards, I'm ahead, and I have Creature in the Graveyard, another Show and Tell, a Daze, and a Tameo. How good do I think Tameo is here is the real question. Because I can put Tameo in my hand, careful study away probably the Daze and the second Show and Tell. I see 1 new card on that sequence, and Tameo flips immediately. Flameo. All right, I will, in fact, I should have put the Daze in my hand there. That was a misstack. Because my opponent taps out for Jace the Mind Sculptor right now. Aren't I the fool? Tameo, careful study. Oh, Force of Will, let's go. Discard Daze and Show and Tell. Back to work. My opponent did wisely Force of Negation my Reanimate, so I can't just pick up Reanimate and hit Atraxa right now. Erode. Is this worth Force of Will to me? Probably. Yeah, I'll fire that off. Opponent's got 1 card in their hand. If it was interaction, they would have used it. I'm going to get back Flow State and try to actually combo off here. Flow State. There is Atraxa and Reanimate. That sets up the Show and Tell in my hand and the Atraxa in my graveyard. Sending it. Force of Will. Flow State. Wasteland. Tameo to my hand. Can even take them off white mana. That is their color that traditionally answers in Atraxa. If they find the Caracas here, we've got some work to do. But we got the GGs. Those were GGs. I mean, pretty relentless pummeling from the Reanimator deck here. Just trying to go 1-for-1 with Swords to Plowshares in a road versus Archon of Cruelty and Atraxa. You are not winning that fight. And then 2 other games defined by who had Tameo. Surprise, surprise. On to the next round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the draw for round 4. I'm going to keep. This is kind of a slow, stable, set up the flow state kind of hand. Haven't had one of these yet. I've mostly been busy mulling to 5. Island Ponder. Handsome. Smart. Sexy open. Flow state. Okay, I could careful study to try to set up the turn 2 flow state, or I can chill. I'm going to chill. Just develop with a fetch land, see what's going on. Cabal Therapy. All right. Force of Will is usually the blind name, and maybe we're in the flow state meta. Yeah, Force of Will. What is this Cabal Therapy strategy? And I've also got a Daze. A Wasteland. That doesn't look like it's helping me much here. I really wish that was a sorcery, so I could just get into my flow. Hey, there's a sorcery. Should I play around Daze? I would so much rather know what's going on before I spend my land drop. Brainstorm in response. I could Daze that. I'm not gonna. This has to be some weird storm deck, or maybe something like actual Aloran, like non-Omni-Show Aloran. Could be Cephalid Breakfast with just like a really weird construction. Basic Swamp, not normally found in Cephalid Breakfast, but all these other cards are. Okay, the brainstorm has happened. It is Aloran. Fun. Look at that. You follow the breadcrumbs. Okay. Abrupt Decay I don't care about at all. Cavern Harpy and Arctic Merfolk are both pretty important combo pieces. I think I want the Harpy gone more than I want the Merfolk gone. Though if they're on a Recruiter of the Guard line, they actually need the Merfolk more than they need the Harpy. But if they're on any other line, Harpy is the guy. Actually, the builds that play Merfolk tend to use Merfolk to get to the point where Harpy is the play. Like, Harpy then picks up Merfolk. I'm actually going to take Merfolk. I think that's more important than Harpy. And I could send a Careful Study now. I'm going to develop another tap land. Tamio does flip here if I want her to. I kind of want to combo off, knowing that my opponent's also a combo deck. I want some more protection. But what they could do here is play the Cavern Harpy, sack it to Cabal Therapy my 2 flow states. That's icky. But then they don't have Cavern Harpy. I don't know that they can actually afford to do that. Would be horrific if they did, though. Not gonna lie. I don't think they know I have 2 of these. I think I've drawn 1 since they therapied me. Maybe that's not even true. I remember being really scared of it, and would I have been scared if there was only 1? Okay, flow state. Put 2 cards in my hand. I'd like 2 Atraxas in my hand, I think. 2 Atraxas in the grip. Careful Study. Discard 2 Atraxas. Okay, you're on notice. You're playing against a combo deck. This is not Dimir tempo. Did not shuffle. All the cards that they kept on Brainstorm they wanted. I could Daze and Allure in here. Oh, gross, dude. All right. Well, I can get Cabal Therapy to grab my 2 basics and hope that Ponder holds the fort. With 3 cards in hand, one of them Cabal Therapy, one of them Cavern Harpy. They can't actually win here, even if they do have Aloran. Which means I should not Daze. Named Flow State. Good call. This Ponder. Gotta do the work. Big rips. Archon of Cruelty. I can almost cast it. We're so close. Ponder. Another Careful Study. I guess I take that. Fetch. Study. My goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I'll keep the Archon in my hand. And now my opponent is reasonable top decks away from winning. Yeah, everybody's on the flow state game. Look at this. Nick fit a Lauren flow state. Opponent said in chat it's the worst flow state they've ever seen. I don't know, mine got discarded without doing anything. That one was pretty bad. Tropical Island. Recruiter of the Guard. Here we go. That might mean there's not an Aloran in the hand, or it might just be they know Daze is in the hand. Eternal Witness can pick up Arctic Merfolk, and then they win next turn. Deck for real. Some action, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 short. Okay, I've been attacked. Hopefully that's all you got. Or like Eternal Witness picks up Flow State and tries to value. That would be okay. I'm literally dead to Aloran. They have to think a little bit about like what if my hand is counterspells because I just haven't done anything for 2 turns now. Despite doing a lot of hand fixing. Right, picking up the Merfolk, that gets their chain back together. Arctic Merfolk picking up the Eternal Witness. Okay, deck. Some action. That's pretty good action. Come on, deck. Oh my god. Alright, well, I'll put back Atraxa and Underground Sea. I can cast this Archon next turn, but I hope I have some action, something to do before then. Oh my god. Alright. So, do I put Force of Will in my hand, or I take the Brainstorm, then I Brainstorm Force. I can't have it all here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Every card wants to be involved right now, but I don't have that much activity for that to be an option. Okay, if I take Brainstorm, I Brainstorm 1, 2. Oh, I do get a 3rd card. So I'll have 6 cards in my hand. I gotta put 2 of them back. It would be Archon plus literally whatever the 3rd card is. And then the 4 cards in my hand would be Force Blue Cards, Thoughtseize Land. Okay, alright, I think I am good on this, actually. No shuffle, Brainstorm, and if the 3rd card down is just Reanimate, we're in business. Bitter Triumph. That's very good also. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. There's a lot of work to be done here. I'd really like to cast Archon of Cruelty next turn. I'm going to go Bitter Triumph, Archon back. Thought sees you. Eternal Witness is still the take. And is Land Harpy Abrupt Decay. Okay. I have Force blue card in my hand. I'm drawing and casting Archon of Cruelty into their board of mostly just mopey creatures. I take 3 down to 8. That turns off Reanimate. Good thing I never drew one. Flow State. Oh my god. That's so annoying. I'm going to force that, actually. All right, Force of Will that. Because Archon of Cruelty will kill one of these creatures when it enters. Okay, Cavern Harpy. That'll pick up the Merfolk. If they play their land here, they're in a lot of trouble. Nice, okay. All right, cool. So the Archon will kill either the Harpy or the Merfolk on entry, and then they have to discard. They'll probably just discard the Abrupt Decay, I guess. They do still have one shitter in their hand. Yeah, I gotta fade the Alurin. A lot was said on the preview of Flow State about, oh, you have to turn it on, but it's not red, like comparing it to Explosive Iteration. And let me tell you, traditional Sultai Alurin was never playing Expressive Iteration. Not a thing that happened. Okay, Merfolk's gone. I've drawn Bitter Triumph. Opponent's hand right now is Recruiter of the Guard, which Harpy does not pick up. Fingers crossed, fade one draw here, and we're good. The Bitter Triumph will also beat Alurin if I get to untap once. Please just draw a Veteran Explorer or some garbage. I wonder if there's a creature in their tutor package that could remove Archon from play, because we know they can Recruiter of the Guard. Is there a Brazen Borrower just in your main deck? But I do have literally 8 mana. I'll just play it again. Temporary Solution. Either Channeler. Okay, that bounces the Archon every turn, actually. Okay, they're choosing to draw a card, going for the high roll, because you could still pay 1 to Harpy, pick this up, go again, but you might as well try to rip the Alurin. Still going for it. I like these outs they're playing too. Not as the opponent, but as the person who enjoys Alurin gameplay. So they can't Harpy and Channeler anymore. Oh no! All right, Recruiter of the Guard. This is probably lethal. All right, I mean, F6. Harpy can get back Channeler. They draw their deck here with just Harpy Channeler. As long as they can gain a life somehow, they got this. Yeah, okay. Parasitic Strix is enough. GG. Yep, 1 turn behind there. But cool game. It came down to hard casting that guy. Okay, Show and Tell. Dangerous to put into play because, or put on the stack because I can lose over top of anything my deck would do. Wishes and Voidwalkers are not without text here. Some of their creature chains can actually be disrupted by a removal spell. I think I mostly just want to clown them though, but now Graveyard Hate comes in. You're really supposed to win game 1 when you're a graveyard combo deck. Consigned to Memory can stop some stuff that they're trying to do. Like if I break their tutor chain as Alurin starts, they might be out of luck. I think Daze is probably... And do I just go no sideboard, send it? Yeah, I think on the play, that is what I'm going to do. And then on the draw, I'll think about reacting to them. I'm just a much faster and sleeker combo deck with fewer dead cards in my deck than them. Oof. Well, this could be the skip 2 turns, discard line. But they're a combo deck that could beat that. I think I will keep my hand. But I'm not going to take that line. Sounds really soft to Cabal Therapy, though. I have 2 of the card they're going to name. Another Animate. Might end up on the plan against my will, but that was the backdoor of keeping this hand, is that that line always exists. Shit. All right. Resolves. I hope they get clever and name some nonsense other than Force of Will. Nope, just got 2 of them. All right, this game's over. Cabal Therapy 2 broken. I gotta draw Careful Study here. And even worse than losing 2 Force of Wills there is I'm 2 turns away from getting an Archon into my graveyard. All right, Brainstorm. It's your job to fix everything here. Yeah, I did rip another Force. Pretty happy with that. I'll put Archon back into my deck, and I don't need this many Animates. Pass the turn with the intent of surveilling in the end step, going for that high roll and tomb. Ponder. Like, Surveil hitting a monster is obviously perfect. Hitting any sorcery gets me into the flow state. Didn't shuffle Ponder. Undercity Sewer. Show me the money. That could be money. I'll keep that. It's a sorcery, at minimum, that might also just present my win. Hey. I put Atraxa in the graveyard. And do I want the extra land here, or am I going to put Faith in Reanimate to actually do this? And I'm going to discard Animate Dead. Atraxa and Animate Dead. And then Reanimate target Atraxa. I've got Force back up and Flow State still in the chamber. Surgical Extraction. Gotta fight my fight here. More things are happening. Brainstorm. Okay. So they're Emergency Dig. Please miss. Force resolved. Reanimate back on the stack. We're in there with an Atraxa trigger. Let's go. Turn it around. Okay. Thoughtseize. And I still have my land drop. Wasteland. I can't do both of those in a turn, but one or the other is pretty nice. Tamio's a creature. Force is an instant. And I guess that's how we do it. Thoughtseize you. And hand is bad. That's good news. Take the Aether Channeler and pass. This is a deterministic win with a Lauren, but I just padded Force Blue card into my hand, so we're good to go. Uro plus Cavern Harpy is draw your deck while netting 2 life per loop, and eventually you just find something else that wins. Rumors of my demise this game were greatly exaggerated. Sometimes you just gotta draw Brainstorm and everything changes. Burden Catacombs is not Caracas. That was the tech that I had to think about a little bit, like what even could get them out of here. Something like Ottawara or Caracas that's not a spell. Okay, Uro is going to come through. You can't flashback the ball therapy off of an Uro on the way through the middle. Luckily for me, there's the Misty we know about. Cavern Harpy and 2 fresh cards that were drawn this turn are what my opponent's working with. Attack. I'd like to flow state here. Animate Dead and Atraxa. Sure. Is there anything worth reanimating? They've got an Aether Channeler. If I reanimate their Uro, it just cycles off. It dies, and then I get an extra land drop. I might want to bounce their Uro with Aether Channeler on the next turn cycle. And also deploy this Tamio. I think that's just money in the bank. Wastelanding them seems kind of pointless here. Recruiter of the Guard resolves. Baleful Strix. That one's pretty annoying. Right. That is how that works. I guess I should have forced that thing, huh? Please name Atraxa. They named Force of Will. Yeah, that's the right name. Though the Animate Dead in my hand means that the Strix is not encouraged to block this Atraxa. But that means I am back to pretty much dead to an Aloran. Strix has returned. Nice. Always happy to see that one. Low state. Careful study and brainstorm. Okay, perfect. Now I can attack, brainstorm, bin the Atraxa, flip the Tamio mid-combat, and get another Atraxa. As they've seen the second reanimate, they're not incentivized to block the creature they want to block here. Oh, this is not how this works. Shit. I got excited. That is not how that works. I should have done that main phase. I'm a mana short. Whoops. All right. Careful study. Embarrassing, but it's fine. Hopefully we still win the game. Atraxa and Daze. There's no way Daze is going to be good anymore. Animate Dead, target Atraxa. I don't know if my opponent even plays Force of Will, but if they do, it would cost them Cavern Harpy. Brainstorm, looking for a surgical, I guess. Now that Daze looks okay. But for this window only. I'm also out of Force of Will, so if they just have an Aloran, there's nothing I can do here. I'll keep the one that has 7 power. Okay, land. I have made my land drop already. Daze doesn't look good enough. I guess I'll take land, brainstorm, reanimate, Tamio. Yeah, shields are down. That attack was kind of messy. I should have just careful studied without attacking with Tamio. But it doesn't actually change what I have access to here. My opponent's just simply gotten through all of my Force of Wills. Harpy. Okay, if they're on the fair, pick up Baleful Strix, try to draw one card plan, I gotta be happy with that. Oh no. I hope this is Uro and not Aloran. Okay, it is Uro. Okay, they fetch down to 2. They're gonna Uro up to 5. Cavern Harpy can block bounce Atraxa. So I actually do want to find some more stuff to do here. We're not quite in the clear. An Archon would be pretty nice. Okay, start with the flow state. Another Atraxa is not what I'm looking for. I've got plenty of those. Brainstorm Pondered on my hand. And am I trying to flip Tameo? What's in my graveyard? Thoughtseize is a card I would like access to someday. If I brainstorm and find Archon, then I could fetch, brainstorm again, and have exactly enough mana, and that doesn't really change. Like, Tameo doesn't change anything, is the problem. If I find Bitter Ordeal, not Bitter Ordeal, what is that card called? Bitter Triumph. Bitter Ordeal is, I think, the Gravestorm thing. Bitter Triumph, I win right now. Okay, I don't think Tameo helps anything I'm trying to do. So I will start with Brainstorm. Careful Study. I put back 2 lands. Fetch. New cards, please. The Bitter Triumph is still in there. Bitter Triumph and Thoughtseize are cards I'm interested in here. I think Ponder is the next place to go. That sees the most cards in a straight line. Hey, Bitter Triumph. All right, let's go. Cast with pay 3 life as a cost. I got life to spend. Did we get over? Don't Veil of Summer me now. All right, cool. Flubbed my sequence a little bit a couple turns ago, but managed to pull it back. Kind of into Dothy Voidwalker. I don't think I have room for the Fatal Pushes. On the draw, Daze looks quite a lot worse. Versus the Cabal Therapy deck, I might want to diversify my forces. It seems like I'm only losing to the card Alurin, and everything else I can overcome. Opponent showed me Surgical Extraction for Graveyard Hate. I could just big pivot. Dothy's Show and Tells. That's Reanimate, Reanimate. Some Animate Deads. Careful Study. Most of the Careful Studies, maybe even. Yeah, like I said with Show and Tell, the problem is if they have a Lauren in their hand, I lose. But I am a Thoughtseize deck. I could also fight the free creatures. It's not really a plan I want to be on. But if they're going to have surgical extractions in their deck, I would like to sidestep that where I can. Okay, there's 2 Careful Studies, 1 Reanimate in my list right now if I click send. And this is a lot of interaction with the Aloran, but also a way for them to just put it into play for free. I don't know if this is a fully coherent strategy. Oh, I've overboarded somehow. I get 2 more cards here. That's fun. I could get 2 Reanimates back in, or 1 Reanimate and 1 Brazen Borrower. Just some way to impact the board other than Bitter Triumph. Consign could be part of a Show and Tell package, where if I give them the Aloran, that's a 1 mana way to stop the Aloran chain from continuing. All right, I'm going to bring in Brazen Borrower. Dramatic departure from what I did last game. I will keep this hand, actually. And I might be on to skip my turn 1 line here. Wall Therapy is so good against that line, though. Opponent mulled to 6. Thoughtseize. That card's so good. Does that change what I want to do? It does. It really does, actually. Okay, I'm going to ponder here. I'm trying to develop my land drops so I can Thoughtseize. Okay, sick. So I can Thoughtseize and Show and Tell reasonably close to each other. I'm going to hide this Force of Will second from the top and take the 2 lands. Now if I get Wall Therapy on Force of Will this turn, there's another one coming. Resolves. Are they just on mono Force of Will, or is there some variation in this game plan? 3 games, 3 therapies. 2 of them have named Force and connected so far. Named Careful Study. All right, played around it by boarding half of them out and also not having the card in my hand. All right, my hand is very good, though. That is something they're going to have to respect. Thoughtseize. I could Thoughtseize me, actually. I could Thoughtseize myself, Reanimate. Now I'm going to go for you. Thoughtseize you. Oh, the hand sucks. Love that for me. Take the Aloran. Hand is Eternal Witness, Parasitic Strix. I am prepared to Force of Will and Eternal Witness here, and then turn the corner, because they can pick up a Lauren with Witness and then Flashback Therapy and clear my hand. This is the shot I have to shoot. Parasitic Strix, same shit, different toilet. Force that. That means if I show and tell, they get back Eternal Witness, which might kill me, actually. I think I have to go for it. Like, they're going to have 2 cards in hand. Like, they put in Eternal Witness, they get back a Lauren. Archon kills the Eternal Witness, they discard one of the 2 cards in their hand. Then somehow from a 2-card hand, they'd have to have land Lauren payoff chain creature. I don't know that it's possible for them to get it from here. Okay, Eternal Witness in play briefly, picking up the Alurin. Yeah, I think they need 3 cards to win from this spot. And they only have 1 plus their draw step, so 2. What they could do is rip a land, raw dog the Alurin. Alright, cool. We're in good shape now. Yeah, if they just ripped a land, put Alurin into play, clenched for 1 turn, and then somehow converted, like Recruiter or Gar up the top. But they do need a critical mass of cards. They're kind of like an Omni Show deck in that regard. Yeah, opponent is saying in chat their hand game 3 was pretty bad. I don't know. They had Alurin, they had Cabal Therapy, Alurin, and the pieces to get things moving. I guess they didn't have a tutor. Maybe it was bad. Love it when a plan comes together. Very good matches, though. I love Alurin, classic Alurin, and the current Omni Alurin as well, and just jamming Flow State into any old deck. On to the final round.
The NYSE Open is returning on June 6, 2026 to Long Island, New York. This proxy-friendly vintage tournament has the guaranteed prize pool of 8 pieces of Power 9 to be drafted by the top 8 based on final standings. Any additional profits made from the event will be added to the prize pool as on-site vendor credit. This tournament has been great the last 2 years. How often do you get to act sad about winning just a time walk? You know I'll be there. See you at the NYSE Open on June 6 on Long Island, New York. Use my link in the video description or find the New York Stacks Exchange on melee.gg.
On the draw in the final round, positive record lock, bread and butter forward on the line. I'm going to keep this cantrip hand. Oh, baby. Looks like we got some lands over there. Not really where you want to start a game as the combo Reanimator deck. Land strategies tend to be pretty good against Reanimator strategies. Okay. I could set up this Archon to end up in the graveyard. I think I have to hold on to this. I just clicked that wrong. If they Ghost Quarter me, my Archon's going to get shuffled in now. I meant to do it the other way. I already have Brainstorms. That doesn't change my hand at all. Oh, interesting. I mean, this might be the last chance I get to daze anything, but I don't think picking up a land helps me here. They hit Wasteland. They took the Saga. Do they have the Loam to just jam everything in here? Okay. Crop rotation. Getting Wasteland. Okay. Well, off we go then. I can still beat this hand if Life from the Loam is not present. It's going to be hard if they do have that one. Thespian Stage. Crazy looking Thespian Stage. Edge of Eternity's Stellar Sights, I guess is the name of that bonus sheet. Okay, I think I have to let them run their course with Urza Saga. I get Bitter Triumph that can bin the Archon now as well. I don't have to do the shuffle trick. Cash grab, okay. Mill 4, put a card from among the milled cards into your hand. Thespian Stage, Tabernacle. They grabbed a second stage. All right. Construct exists now. I want them to finish tutoring with this Urza Saga before I show them I'm Reanimator, because there probably is a Soul Guide Lantern or something in their main deck. Hithing Needle. Nice Beseju. Or nice Yavimaya. You got me real good. Okay, float a blue. So I can brainstorm here. They will shuffle my deck for me. I get a swamp. I can still do everything. I don't need Delta. And I guess I don't need either of these deltas. All right, Ghost Quarter, bonks me, yes, get Swamp, Blast Zone, Skateboard, a Bitter Triumph, cast with discard a card, discard Archon. All right, 1 card left in your hand. You can equip Skateboard, bonk me. And I just need to find any of my 8 reanimates here, and we take over. There's one right there. Ka-chow! Alright, cool. And I am unlocked, ready to party. I don't... In Merit Lage, the timing of it could matter here. Yeah, I guess they have skateboard, so Merit Lage could actually just be horrible. Come on! Get the fuck out of here, you savage. You absolute maniac. Okay, that's fine. I chump block, and then I draw another reanimate, and then I win. Somehow still just, like, mostly okay here. Block, and then I think... What is the best play here? I could Surveil, get a look, then Brainstorm gets 4 looks in a row. If I Brainstorm, I get 3 looks right now. I draw one of those cards, then I Brainstorm again. I get 4 looks with Brainstorm. Make sure I'm thinking about this right. 3, 2 back. I draw one of them. Then I draw 2. I get 5 looks with Brainstorm if I Brainstorm now. Okay, so I should Brainstorm now, actually. Brainstorm. Animate dead. Oh my god. Woo! Alright. The Miracle Top Deck War continues. Animate dead. And I can even cast this Tameo. Alright, clear that shit out. Tameo, get in there. Alright, we're back. We're back. Reanimator. Powerful stuff. If they have another Dark Depths, they can't quite equip the skateboard, and I would win that fight. Oh my god. What a war. That was fun. Alright, Brazen Borrower. I think I want to be showing and telling for sure in this matchup. Force of Negation is a pretty nice side grade to Force of Will, because Life from the Loam is one of the things I want to be taking out. Thoughtseize is kind of poor against lands, but getting that first look at that first hand could be pretty important. Caracas is a thing I have to think about while I'm on the show and tell plan. I could go minus a Careful Study. I think I will go minus a Thoughtseize here. Alright, here's the plan. Crazy slugfest of game 1. Yeah, really the important part of game 1 was playing out that super slow, don't really reveal what I'm up to until the Saga Pops thing, because if they had a Soul Guide Lantern in their deck, they easily win that game if they tutor it. Okay, keeping this one lander versus the Wasteland deck is obviously risky, but I actually really like having access to Force of Negation and Thoughtseize. Like, if I can collapse an early game plan, this is how it happens. Shit. Can I draw a fetch land? Nope. Alright, Thoughtseize you. See what you kept over there. See if we can play this game, or if this is just going to be ugly for everyone. Wasted me. Pithing Needle, Life from the Loam. Alright, well, I'll take the Needle and let you work your way up to that Loam, I guess, which I'm going to counter. Nobody's really doing anything right now. My opponent has Urza Sagas and Dark Depths that are great draws that immediately flip the script here. Yep, there's one. Alright, can I draw a land? No, but I can put Attrax in my graveyard straight up. That adds some texture to the game. Though they are going to pop their Saga next turn. Play from the Loam. Not on my watch. I'll pitch Force of Will to that. Soul Guide Lantern. Okay, so that probably was actually the card they were going to tutor for. So if I force this now, they don't have it. Alright, force pitching Careful Study. And now they're going to have to beat me with this Urza Saga, which won't actually be that hard, but if I draw a Wasteland right now, we're gaming. Alright. We got a bruh in the chat. Bruh, I haven't played a land since turn 1. How about you settle down? You've drawn Soul Guide Lantern Urza Saga as 2 of your draws while I've done nothing. Yeah, I probably just die to Merit Lage here. Oh, they don't have an Expedition map. That's cool. I mean, maybe Dark Depths was the third insane perfect draw in a row. Right, the skateboard tapped itself. Yeah, okay, sure. Bruh. 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 Alright. I'm on the play for this game. I mean, that keep, it's like, the first check is, do you have Wasteland? The second check is, do you have anything else? The third check is, do I fail to draw a land for the rest of the game? And my opponent passed all 3 checks. It's fine. Bruh. I don't think I revealed the show and tell that game, so that's still live plan. Yeah, here we go. Let's do it. Okay, I'll keep this one. Let's start with Ponder. Just trying to put a monster in my hand. Careful Study is nice. Force of Will fodder. A basic island, cast Ponder. Thoughtseize Brainstorm. And that's a fine turn too. I'm in. And Thoughtseize is not going to do much after like, turn 2 in this matchup. Soul Guide Lantern resolves. You got me. Took my Ponder. That does make Flow State worse. Brainstorm. Can we find a monster? I don't need 2 Thoughtseizes. And I don't think I want this Underground Sea. I mean, I could Wasteland if I keep the Underground Sea. Yeah, I could just pitch Tameo off here and fetch Basic Swamp. Then Wasteland can clear this Urza Saga. And I'm still drawing live to show and tell. Thoughtseize, Dismember, Malevolent Rumble, Cash Grab. I'm taking Rumble. This hand is not very good, actually. Gates of Madara from the hand. Okay, that's cool. Force of Will. All right. I've got options here. I could Wasteland Urza Saga, and then my opponent is just playing on Talon Gates. I could Wasteland Talon Gates, and then my opponent Urza Saga dies without doing anything, but it does get Mox Diamond out of the deck, which could create some friction for me later. I could also just let this saga run its course. They get the Mox Diamond, let them cash grab, waste the next Urza Saga. Is this game functional for them if I just park the Wasteland in play and they tutor up Pithing Needle to turn off my Wasteland? Like, is that actually a good game for them? I don't think it is. I could also just play this Underground Sea and pass. Yeah, if I'm not Wastelanding now, then I should play the Underground Sea. Okay, that's what I'll do. Underground Sea, pass. Yeah, I think catching this second saga is actually the way to succeed here, but they will get to cast Cash Grab this turn. Mox Diamond, discards Blast Zone. It might actually force the Cash Grab. I am going to force the Cash Grab. I think they need this. That's a lot of looks at Loam as well, which I don't want to be doing. Flow State. That's online. Let's go. They could pop their Soul Guide Lantern to turn it off, but please, for fuck's sake, do that. Brazen Borrower, that's good into that Mox Diamond. And do I want another Force of Will? I mean, I could just bounce the Mox Diamond now. I could take Brazen Borrower, Polluted Delta. The Delta is a Surveil. I actually do like that a lot. Okay, I'm going to take Delta and Borrower. And I think I just want to bounce this Mox Diamond. Is that better than just wasting the Saga, though? If they have Loam, I'm in trouble regardless. All right, I'm going to bounce the Mox Diamond right now. Put the Wasteland face up. This is my plan. Let's hope your hand is garbage. All right, Mox Diamond back in the hand. Disruptor Flute. That probably names Wasteland, would be my guess. Yes, and they missed on the mana. Let's go. I think it's time for a careful study. Find a monster. Let's go. Let's go. Discard 2 lands. Show and tell, put in Atraxa. Reload, force the negation back up. Maybe they'll put in Mox Diamond. All right, Exploration from hand. We've got Show and Tell, Archon of Cruelty, and Marsh Flats, I guess. And pretty underwhelming, but we're on board. It's happening. I think I'm going to fetch Surveil. Like, Pithing Needle might actually be the only thing left in their deck they can get. Or there's a skateboard at least. But I'll still take my Surveil now. Reanimate, not helping me this game. That Soul Guide Lantern is still face up over there. Dismember, Mox Diamond, 1 unknown in their hand right now. Skateboard has appeared. I don't think it's possible with knowing the 2 cards that I know to die to Merit Lage right now. From 3 unknowns in hand, I could die right now. I'm not even sure that's true. Without a Yavimaya in play, I think they're a mana short of doing that. Nice! These were pretty fun matches. A lot of back and forth. So a 4-on-1 record, only losing to the designer of this deck, who is in a pseudo mirror. A lot of crazy back and forth. A lot of times where my opponent ripped the Insanes, and then I ripped the Insanes right back, which, when we're playing a high power format, having the option to rip Insanos is part of the deck selection and deck building process. Like, you could just be playing Dimir Tempo, which doesn't even have that button to press, but on average, your hands are better, but your nut rolls are lower. That's just part of deck selection in Eternal formats. Flow state, pretty dumb. Let me just say it. I had it. Some of my opponents had it. Every time it went on the stack, it was like, oh, thank God, or oh, no, depending on who was casting it. Tamio won some games by herself, both for me and for my opponent. As for the actual Reanimator shell, this league went well, and I do generally like and believe in this deck in the format overall. If Eternal Weekend was tomorrow, I probably would not play this deck, but if it was 2 weeks from now, I'd be putting a lot of work in to figure out if I do want to play this deck. How to construct the deck, like with the show and tells versus Barrogoyfs and other stuff out of the sideboard, that's an optional flex as well. One thing that I did notice, because I played the monster, the creature juke at Eternal Weekend and when I was working on Reanimator most recently, and a big thing I noticed with the mapping is that when you're bringing in Barrogoyfs and Bowmasters and Voidwalkers, you also cut the monsters, the big ones. But when you're bringing in show and tells, you have to leave the monsters in, and you're shaving on the reanimate and careful study kind of stuff, which that does leave 6 giant clunkers in the deck, where part of the appeal of the monster package is you just have none of this. You could reasonably board out 15 cards if you had a coherent sideboard strategy to just become like 80% capability Dimir Tempo, which is not great into 100% capability Dimir Tempo, but it is pretty good into decks like blue-red or any sort of combo deck. This is definitely back on the menu. Flow state unlocking careful study, which unlocks faster reanimation, which unlocks days. There's a lot of cascading effects here, despite being not that many cards different from my Eternal Weekend deck. I do think this deck is a lot better than that deck was at the time. I will leave this one here. Build or burn. Thanks for submitting it. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel. I'll see you next time.